Hey, what's up guys? My name is Jedith, and this is your first look at the Devourer gameplay loop. I'm going to show you the two different styles that I've kind of decoded and deciphered here on my own. Of course, this is my kind of first look at this as well as yours. So we're all kind of just, you know, piecing the puzzle together as best as we can as we go. I have recorded a bunch of videos going over a bunch of different things. I made a video all on the Devourer spec tree. I made another video on the Annihilator hero talent tree and many other things. So if you want to see those videos as well, I suggest you watch those first before you watch this one, so things make a little bit more sense. Those will be in a playlist down below. There's all kinds of videos there from this alpha testing that I've done, and I've decided to just release them all at the same time and put them into a playlist so you guys can watch all of them whenever you want, rather than spreading them out. Just gonna put them all out there at once. Okay, so let's start with the hybrid style, and this is the one where you're gonna be in melee to do a little combo, then you're gonna leap back out, gonna be in ranged, and so on and so forth. Rinse and repeat. The whole name of the game here is generating souls. You want to get 50, so you can do Void Metamorphosis. Once you're in Void Metamorphosis, you have to cast Void Ray as many times as you can, and this is done by getting enough Fury to do so. Casting Void Ray inside of meta gives you a ton of souls. Getting those souls goes towards getting your Collapsing Star. You need 30 souls to cast your Collapsing Star. As you fill out this row of talents here, these all affect Collapsing Star. The name of the game is trying to get as many Collapsing Stars inside of your Void meta window as possible. So in this build, we have a few abilities that we'll be using. The first one is Void Blade, and this is basically a Void version of Fell Blade, except it does a little bit more damage and it's a little bit cooler, in my opinion. And then there is Reap. This is the ability that gathers up all of your soul fragments on the ground. Right now, in this state, it can gather up to 4 nearby souls, but there are things that can affect that and change that, and it currently has 2 charges. It also does damage. It shoots out this like bolt of cosmic energy. It's really cool looking. Then we have the Hunt, and this is specific to this build because it's down on the left-hand side of the tree as a capstone. I'll talk about that in a second. On my bar, I have Throglaive. I've never pressed this before. In this build, actually as Devourer, I've never pressed it other than just like random testing. It does generate a Void Fragment or Soul Fragment. What are we calling them? I don't know. I was going to say it summons a blue ball. Let's not call them that either. It summons one of these things. So it's on my bars. Then I have Consume, and Consume is our castable ability that we can use while moving. It generates Fury and 1 Soul Fragment. So this is kind of our filler ability, I guess you could call it, but it is always generating resources for us. Then we have Void Ray, and outside of Void meta, this can be used as often as you can possibly afford to. As long as you have 100 Fury, you're able to cast this. When you get into Void meta form, then there's a little cooldown that's put onto it, but outside of Void meta form, you can cast it as long as you have enough Fury to do so. So it unleashes a beam of energy, dealing cosmic damage and consuming 5 Fury every 0.1 second. So you need 100 Fury to cast it. When you cast it, it does damage and it's consuming Fury. The effect ends after 2.6 seconds or upon reaching 0 Fury. Then we have Soul Immolation. This is a 30-second recharge. We currently have 2 stacks of it, and this is kind of like a reverse Immolation aura. It doesn't do damage to mobs. It does damage to you. But the cool thing is it does fire damage. And we can sort of offset this by taking Charred Warblades. So you heal for 3% of all fire damage you deal. Every time that fire damage hurts us and ticks on us, we heal a little bit of it back. It's not much, but it does help offset it a little bit. This does generate 30 Fury, and it shatters 3 soul fragments over 5 seconds, and we have 2 charges of it. And then of course we have Blur. Blur reduces all damage taken by 25% for 10 seconds. The dodge portion of Blur was taken away. I'll talk about that in another video. We'll come back to that later. There's Void Nova, and this is basically just Chaos Nova, except Void. My one complaint about that ability is the icon looks a little desaturated and almost like it's not available to use. I'd like to hear your guys' opinion on this in the comments. Does this icon look a little weird to you? It looks weird to me. It looks like it's been out in the sun too long and it got faded or something. Anyways, next to that is Void Meta, and you can see it's not usable right now, but we do have 34 souls put towards it, and once this number gets to 50, we would be able to use this ability. This ability next to it, I don't have it selected in this build, but essentially what it is a self-heal, and it does a little bit of damage. It's on a 1-minute cooldown. So devour the life from your target to make yourself whole again, dealing cosmic damage equal to 25% of your missing health, and healing you 50% of your missing health. So kind of a cool little defensive that is on a 1 minute cooldown. It's a defensive and it does some damage. Awesome. Then we have Shift, and this is replacing our Fel Rush. So we have Fel Rush as Havoc. As Devourer, we have Shift, and it's a 20-second recharge. We have 2 charges of it, and with a talent in the Annihilator tree, we can get 3 charges. And this is really cool. It has a targeting reticle, and you basically just select where you want to go, and you zip around. Now, the one thing is I'm a little uncertain about how it works exactly. I'm not sure if it's a true teleport or if it's just like for example, a Warrior's Charge where it still moves your character. It's a little confusing to me because I can leap over this soul and I'll still pick it up. But then I can also do really cool things like this. Kind of like Door of Shadows, right? All right, so let's get into the rotation. I've yapped a little bit too much here. So we're going to start just by getting some souls. And I'm going to leap in with Void Blade. Whenever I use Void Blade or the Hunt, it gives me Hungering Slash. Hungering Slash will do big AoE and shatter some souls, and then it gives me a free Vengeful Retreat. So then I could leap out and continue. And I'll use Reap to pull in all my souls, and now I can use Void Ray. So I'm going to use it. And it shattered a bunch of souls. Can suck all those in, and now I have 50 souls, so I can use Void Meta. And now the name of the game is trying to stay in Void Meta as long as I can and getting enough souls to cast Collapsing Star. So I need 30 souls to do so. I'm currently at 9. So we got a ways to go here, but it won't take long. You can see I'm already up to 15. And what I'm thinking is going to be best to do here is whenever you're channeling Devour or Consume, you want to be moving towards any souls that are on the ground, so you're not just standing still. Okay, so we have Collapsing Star. I'm going to use it. And bam, now we need to try to get another 30 before our Fury Bar runs out. And our Fury Bar is progressively draining faster and faster and faster the longer we're in Void Meta. So you can do things like, oh, yep, there we go. Collapsing Star. You can do things like if you see a Void Fragment on the ground over there and you don't have a charge of Reap to suck it in, you can shift over and get it. There's a lot of like cool little things you can do. What I do like is that shift is not necessary for your damage rotation. It's more of like a if you need it type of thing. It's very useful for mobility. I can see it being incredibly, incredibly clutch in Raid and even in Mythic Plus, just like getting out of mechanics and whatnot. So with this build, like I said, this is the hybrid one. And the thing that this is sort of leaning on is this Hungering Slash ability. So as I said, whenever we use Void Blade and the Hunt, it gives us Hungering Slash. We press Hungering Slash and that gives us 2 soul fragments and it does big AoE damage. And it also gives us a free use of Vengeful Retreat so we can backflip out of melee range and continue on with our mid-range sort of rotation. I'll go through it again. So I'm just generating souls, using Reap to get them up, and what I could do is I could go into melee to do my combo. Get out. Then I have Void Ray. Okay, I can use the Hunt. Void Ray again, and now I have Void Meta. And Void Ray again. You can see we have a lot of souls on the ground now. Whenever you have more than 10 souls on the ground, I believe, some of them just automatically get consumed by you. So there's no fear of overcapping, because it'll just make room on the ground, basically. Okay, so there's Collapsing Star. Do our melee combo. As I'm channeling Devour or Consume, I'm running around to pick up souls. We got lots of Fury left. The one trick that I found is to make sure you have a soul immolation rolling, because it is giving you Fury over time. It's very easy to forget about this because you have 2 charges and it takes up a GCD and you're so tight on GCDs in that window that like you don't think to press it because you're always thinking about, okay, how can I generate more soul fragments? How can I pick them up? That's kind of where your focus is. So it can be really easy to forget to press soul immolation. But with that being said, there is an option on this choice node where instead of having a reduced cooldown and getting an additional charge, you can just make the ability passive, where casting a damaging spell has a 5% chance to activate Soul Immolation for 5 seconds. This is kind of just a gamble. It doesn't proc that often because it is 5%, but you are casting a lot of abilities and you could high roll, you can get a lot back to back, and you can get a lot of fury from that. You can have it proc when you need it, you can have it proc when you don't need it. So it's kind of a gamble, but it does free up that GCD, so it's going to be up to you what you use. Now, the one thing that I want to highlight that I'm a little concerned about, and I am going to give this as feedback to Blizzard, is it's very easy to accidentally cancel Collapsing Star. And when it gets canceled, it still consumes the 30 soul fragments, and you can't like recast it. So I'll show you that as soon as I can get back into Void Meta. Give me a second here. We're almost there. We're at 40. 46. Okay, so 50, and now we're going to get up to 30 so we can cast Collapsing Star. And what I'm going to do is, while it's casting, I'm just going to like press a movement key on my keyboard. I'll press D, right? I'll accidentally strafe. So give me a second here. Get up to... Okay, so I'm casting it, and then I'm going to accidentally press D. It cancels the cast, and I lose all 30 of those souls. I think that needs to be changed in some way. I understand why there needs to be some punishment to it, because channeling Collapsing Star does halt your fury drain. So you can't just like indefinitely start casting it and cancel it and start casting it and cancel it to like generate extra souls inside of your Void meta before you fall out of it, so you have more as you're out of it and trying to get back into Void meta. Like, I get the logic there as to why there needs to be a downside, but I feel like the movement keys on the keyboard are way too easy to accidentally press and cancel the ability, especially like if you're playing with latency or something. It's going to happen to a lot of people. It happens to me all the time. So that's one thing that I think should be looked at in some form. Okay, so that was the hybrid build. Let me jump over to the pure ranged build now, and this is essentially taking everything on the right side. And in this one, I've also gone purely down the middle, so we have all of the Collapsing Star talents as well. So the difference here is instead of getting Hungering Slash, we're getting Eradicate. So fully channeling Void Ray causes your next Reap to deal 6,158 cosmic damage to all enemies within a 25-yard cone in front of you. And that is a lot of damage after this recent stat squish that they've done. If you weren't aware, they did a stat squish to the entire game. All of our stats are lower. Our gear has like 14 crit and 13 haste. Everything got crunched down, all the damage numbers, all your health values, everything. Doing 6,158 damage to all enemies in front of you within a 25-yard cone is very powerful. So essentially, with this one, we're not jumping into melee range, we're just staying at range the entire time, and it looks like this. So we're just going to generate some souls, scooping them up, using Void Ray. Now we have Eradicate here. And that's our big, like, scythe attack ability. So next time I get it, I'll turn my camera around so you can see it. Okay, here it is. Ready? It's really cool. It looks great. Okay, we're gonna go into Void meta. Eradicate. Void Ray. Now we're just using Devourer and sucking up the souls. Kind of moving around as we need to. I should be using Soul Immolation, but I keep forgetting. Okay, we got a Collapsing Star. And this is basically it. So you're just standing at range. You're not doing the whole jump into melee, leap back out thing. It's just blasting away, generating souls, using Reap to scoop them up, casting Void Ray, getting into Void meta, pressing Collapsing Star. GG. That's it. I actually really like this. I think this is incredibly fun. I could see myself really getting into this. And as you can see, I've already used, what, 2 collapsing stars in this void meta so far, I believe? Something like that. We're about to run out. We have Void Ray to get us back up there. And we have Collapsing Star. So that's the 3rd one. And it did massive damage. One of the differences in this ranged build as well is this choice node here. So because we're not pressing Void Blade, I'm opting to not take Duty Eternal. Void Blade damage increased by 25%, and Void Blade now generates 20 Fury. So I'm not taking this because I'm not pressing Void Blade. Instead, I'm taking Scythe's Embrace. So Reap generates 10 Fury, which is really nice because we're pressing Reap a lot. You know, because we're not jumping into melee range, we are kind of relying on Reap to pull in souls a lot of the time. And we have 2 charges of it, so we're pressing it pretty often. And every time we press it, we get 10 Fury. That also applies to Eradicate. Whenever Reap turns to Eradicate, it also gives 10 Fury. So those are kind of the builds that I've figured out so far. Like I said, this is going to change completely. This build won't look the same. Do not copy this. Do not try to, like, you know, say the builds that I'm using right now are the best or, like, good in any means. This is just me kind of randomly picking talents and trying to, like I said, piece the puzzle together. But generally, you can tell by the way that the tree is set up that the left-hand side is the melee side where you're dipping into melee, and the right side is the ranged portion of it. And then we have our hero talent tree that, again, if you want to see how this works exactly, I have a different video that you can watch. It'll be in the playlist down below. If you guys like this video, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. There's going to be a lot more content. There is a lot more content that has been posted today all about Devourer, and I want you guys to see it all if that's something that you're interested in. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.